Since about 2010, I and my colleagues have been working on various aspects of monitoring and management brown marmorated stink bug. So in apples, we understand that brown marmorated stink bug injury is beginning to be expressed in typically mid to late June and continues to increase, I would say, in severity through July, August, and even into September. So it has enabled us to advise growers about when they should consider intervening against brown marmorated stink bug if populations warrant that. Some of the other things that we have been doing in recent years are to look at aspects of the overwintering biology of brown marmorated stink bug, particularly patterns of emergence of the adult bugs from overwintering sites in the spring. And what we have found is that emergence can begin in mid-April given suitably warm temperatures, but emergence tends to peak between about mid-May and early to mid-June and taper off through the remainder of June so that it's essentially over by early July. So most aggressive intervention probably is really warranted in beginning toward the latter part of July and through perhaps mid-September, depending upon the variety and the bug population density in a given year. There are environmental factors that have influenced the annual bug populations. 2 years ago, we had what was called the polar vortex. This past winter was also an unusually cold one here in the Northeast. We do have evidence to the effect that those extremely cold temperatures for portions of the winter affected survivorship of the bugs. So for 2 consecutive years, really, we've gone into the spring with a relatively or comparatively low brown marmorated stink bug adult population, at least compared with some previous years. And that's meant that the population has taken a little longer to get traction and to build and grow during the course of the season. We continue to recommend the use of alternate row middle sprays mid-June onward. We feel that that is the most effective tactic and continue to recommend that. What has occurred quite commonly over the last few years is outbreaks of some of the secondary pests in apple orchards, such as woolly apple aphid, San Jose scale, and spider mites. And this was not entirely unexpected based on the broad spectrum nature of the insecticides that are most effective against brown marmorated stink bug. Woolly apple aphid is a prime example. Under normal circumstances, it's not really considered an economically important pest of apple because the natural enemies do such an effective job at keeping it suppressed. When you take those out of the system, the woolly apple aphid can build up to substantial numbers and become a real serious issue. I think as a group of researchers, we've made a lot of progress in terms of being able to advise growers about how best to both monitor and manage brown marmorated stink bug. So that's enabled them to reduce the insecticide inputs, reduce the disruptive effects of some of the insecticides that they're using, and so on. Ultimately, though, I think based on the fact that brown marmorated stink bug is a landscape scale pest, utilizing so many native hosts in the forest, as well as crops, as well as hosts in people's backyards, it's widely distributed. There's no possible way that you're going to control those populations with insecticides or traps or any other human tactic. And I think that biological control, especially by the egg parasites, is going to represent the ultimate solution to bringing this pest down to economically acceptable levels.